Good email code, quick tips, DevTools. So DevTools are a set of tools for developers. These are largely built directly into the browser, such as the ones I'm showing you here in Google Chrome. So to launch them, go to View and then Developer. Then you've got a couple of options there, Developer Tools or Inspect Element. I'm going to click Inspect Element here so I can get straight to the point. Either way, we're going to see our Developer Tools load in this panel at the bottom of the screen. Because I selected Inspect Element, I can now use my mouse to select an element on the screen to inspect. So here I can select the H1 and you can see it highlighted in the code down below. We can now edit that code, so let's just split the word DevTools into two words as an example of what we can do. So let's look at that in an email client. So here we've got outlook.com. If I open up an email, now one thing to notice here is this email is actually shrunk down. This is because Outlook likes to shrink an email into what it thinks responsive should be. If we adjust the size there, you can see it shrink even further. There's a little icon there which I can click to expand the email. But first off, let's have a look and see what's happening in the code. So we can see there's on the outer table that it's setting a transform scale. I can remove this by clicking on the little tick box and that strikes it through, and we can see that that is gone back to the scale that we want, or reapply it there by clicking it back again. And when we click on the expand link, we can see the code updating in real time, and we can see that it's changed the transform to scale 1:1. So the next thing we want to look at in Outlook is, let's have a look at our dark mode. So we scroll up to our settings and we select dark mode on. Then we can see this updating in real time in the code. And we can see that all of the background settings are being applied here, not just the background color. But it is worth noting that the background color does have the important keyword set on it here. So next let's switch it up a bit and move over to Gmail and have a look at some settings in there. So let's take a look at our H1. So if we inspect this element, open it up, and as I showed you before, we can adjust the text. So let's just change this from heading to this is a heading. And also, as well as changing the code here, let's add some styles. So we can adjust our styles by clicking into the styles here, typing in background, and we'll set that to red so we can see that applied there. I can then, if we click on the little check mark next to it, we can see that will strike through the style and remove the style from our code. So next up, let's have a quick look at computed styles. We can see we have a font size set here as 2M, but what does that actually calculate to? So if we click on the computed tab here and we type in font size, and we can see here it says it's 32 pixels. So that's the rendered code on the screen, is 32 pixels. We click the little arrow there and it will take us back to the point in our code where this style is set. This is also really good for looking at inherited styles if you want to see what those styles are and where they're coming from. So now if we take a look at this CTA here, this link, we can see there is a hover style on it, but how do we see those hover styles? So let's inspect that element. By default, we can't see the actual hover styles appearing in DevTools. So if we click on this little hover option there, then we come up with a list of options. We select hover, and then our hover styles appear in DevTools. We can just adjust that here if we just click into the border radius, and let's just set that to 2M to show you it's working. And now these hover styles will remain in place until we uncheck the hover selector there. So another useful thing I want to look at is our accessibility tools. So if we look at this image here, and then in the section we go over to our accessibility tab, and we can see the accessibility information here. We can see the alt text is shown there, placeholder image of some hills, and we can see the role image on there too. And now if we look at another element, we have this div with the role article wrapping our entire content. We can see that this is a role article, and we can see the content of the ARIA label on it. Let's have a look at our navigation. Again, we've got our navigation with our list items inside that and our links. We can also see the full accessibility tree by clicking on this little icon. This is currently an experimental feature, so we need to enable it, but I think it's quite useful. We can see all our content there and explore it in the same way we do with the other dev tools. We can see each element's role and its text content, be that through live text, alt text, or ARIA label. So when we're viewing our email in a full page, as in it's not within an email wrapper, we have an extra option where we can simulate responsive layouts. So we just need to click on this little icon here to open up the responsive view. Now we can click and drag to adjust the size of this if we want to, and adjust it that way. So we don't have a lot of room here, so let's just use another useful feature and dock our DevTools onto the side. You can also have this pop out in a separate window if we want to. DevTools comes with a number of preset devices that we can simulate, or we can create our own custom ones. Once it's open, we can scroll as normal, or we can actually click and drag like you would on a phone to scroll. So a quick wrap up, just to say that DevTools are very, very powerful. This is just a quick introduction of some of the features I use most often. So I recommend you just get in, start playing around, and then when you feel more comfortable, start digging deeper into DevTools. Also, this is mainly just for webmail or maybe the browser version of your email. I have seen some support for desktop apps in the past, but nothing that I'm aware of currently. Thanks a lot.